let's talk about key signature. This pair of flats right here might show up in your music on the left side next to your clef. Here's our treble clef, here's our bass clef, and no matter which one you play, if you have a key signature, it looks like something like this, and it will be on the left side of your music. So the question is, what does that do? Non-transposing instruments should be used to seeing flats because they play a lot of B flat and E flat, even in their first 5 notes. So let's look and see what that key signature does. If I go to this next page, I can see that I have a lot of different notes on different lines and spaces, and none of them have flats, or sharps for that matter. So we would name these notes, but they would all get natural names, which just means they would have a letter. So for treble clef, this is a B, this is a C, D, E, woo! Try that one again. All of these notes, this is an E but up much higher. Remember the spaces spell face, treble clef players. And the B line in the middle, because every good boy deserves fudge. So these would just have their natural names, which is the regular letter. Same with the bass clef. There's no sharps or flats, so this would be F, E, D, C, B, then a way up high B, which especially, baritone and trombone players will use. And then this one way down here, I'll put the name out here, is like a tuba, and that's an E. So we've got all these natural notes. That just means there's no sharps or flats. But as soon as you see a key signature show up over here in the music, so in this case, treble clef, there's where that one would go, and there's where that one would go. This is where you would see a flat in the key signature. Now, you read this flat just like you would read a note. So this is B flat. This is a B flat because it's on the B line. So if it was up higher or lower, if it was somewhere else, if it was down here, we would say F flat. But there is a pattern to how these show up, and the first one is always B flat. So there's B flat there, and this is B flat for bass clef. Those are both B flats. Here's what that does. The B flat in the key signature, we're talking about key signature. The B flat in the key signature is all powerful, and that means all Bs everywhere, no matter whether it's down here, down low, or this B over here where it's on this line, or even if we had a B way up here, all Bs instantly become automatically B flat. And when we're writing the names, we would write it the way we say it, B flat. And this one over here becomes a B flat. And that all happens without this flat being added to the note. You're not going to see it printed next to the note when it's in the key signature. Because again, the key signature is all powerful and it's making all Bs flat everywhere, high, low, and in between. So the same thing happens down here. Bass clef has B flat. Here's a couple Bs over here, right? Here was a B and another B. Those ones are now officially and automatically made B flats. So now you would need to make sure the note you're playing is B flat. And on your instrument, B flat and B natural are different notes with different fingerings. So you would have to make sure you are playing the correct note. This works great at the beginning when non-transposers are playing B flat and E flat all the time, because then you just don't have to have all these flats in your music. You don't have to have a whole bunch of flats on every note just to see that they're flat. We can put a flat in the key signature, and we can also make all E's flat. And this is the key signature that most non-transposing instruments see most of the time, especially early on in our music. So we have now B flat and an E flat. So all E's everywhere become flat. Here's one. That one is now E flat. Only because I now have a E flat in the key signature. This one is also E flat. And it's pretty easy to see that that E is flat because see, it's on the same space, but it doesn't have to be because again, key signature is all powerful. So this B flat and E flat apply to everything. That makes this E flat and it makes that E flat. This makes this B flat and it makes this B flat. It's powerful. Same thing down here in the bass clef. Here was an E. Now this is an E flat. Notice that the note on the music staff doesn't look any different. but it's still going to be changed by the key signature. You're not going to see any change to this note, but the key signature means now you must play that as an E flat instead of E natural. And then for the tuba down here, right? That's an E flat because the key signature is all powerful. And this E made that E flat and it made that E flat. And this little B flat made both of these notes B flat. Now there's another case where we've got, our music playing along. And in this case, it seems like you don't even need the E flat, right? Because there's no E's in the song. So what's the deal? Well, music uses different patterns of notes depending on the song. So don't really worry about why it's there, even if you don't use it. You just need to remember that if you see B flat and E flat in the key signature, all B's are flat and all E's are flat. So in this example for rolling along, D, C, B, wait a minute, that's got to be a B flat because there's a B flat in the key signature. So D, sorry, that doesn't look like a D. D, C, B flat, C, D, D, D. Now listen to it, right? Listen to the difference here. Here it is using the B flat like the key signature says. Okay, we know that song. What if I ignored the key signature and accidentally played a B natural instead? Totally different note, totally different sound, and that's going to be a mistake. If I'm sitting next to somebody who remembers their key signature and they play a B flat and I play a B natural, whoo, that's not going to sound so great. And these note names are exactly the same here. It's just written out in bass clef. So we have to play by paying attention to our key signature. We can play the correct notes. So we have to pay attention to our key signature. The last little detail would be, what if I don't see a key signature? What if I look over here and there's nothing there? So you technically still have a key signature, but it's just empty. There are no sharps and no flats. So all of these notes would just have natural names, just like earlier when we named some notes. So this note, this was supposed to have a line here. I'll just give it this line here. So this note would be C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and so on. And all the way up the musical alphabet, no matter what the letters are, whoa, C, D, E, F, okay? So all of the notes are just going to have natural names, no sharps or flats automatically. You would only need to play a note flat if you saw a flat on the note, and that's called an accidental. When we see it on the note, it's called an accidental. So you still technically have a key signature, but we would call this the empty key signature, or no sharps and no flats. Otherwise, you just want to think of what flats there are. So if I have this key signature and Mr. Bletcher says, what's in your key signature? You would say, well, B flat and E flat. And you know that that all-powerful key signature will make all B's flat and all E's flat. So that's why we need to understand the key signature. Otherwise, we will play notes wrong all over the place. And it's so important that we remember that the only reason this note right here is B flat is because there's a B flat over here. And if that was gone, this would just be a regular B, a B natural. So keep that in mind as you learn any new music. The key signature is so important to pay attention to. Always check it when you start something new, and I'll see you in the next video.